Kyousuke Kosaka is just an ordinary high school student who has a little sister, Kirino Kosaka, and the two almost hate each other. Kirino is almost the perfect student, given that she is the top student in her school, an athlete, and even a magazine model. However, even though she seems like the perfect girl, she has a secret that her brother does not know, which could change his view of her. Kyousuke comes home from school, and just like on other days, he pours his usual juice as Kirino talks on the phone. But as Kyousuke goes to his room, the two collide, causing things to fly out of Kirino's bag. But when Kyousuke offers to help pick up her things, Kirino refuses and goes to her room. Just after Kirino leaves, Kyousuke finds a DVD of a video game under the table. He finds out that it's an eroge, which is an erotic video game with younger sister-themed tropes. Kyousuke is unsure whether it belongs to his sister, so he decides to hide it until he finds out. But upon further investigation, he discovers that it only could have fallen from Kirino's bag. But when he confronts her, she denies that it's hers. Later that night, Kirino wakes Kyousuke up with a slap and takes him to her room to show him an insane collection of figurines from the DVD. However, contrary to what Kirino expected, Kyousuke does not find his sister's hobby so weird and actually accepts it. But even with that, she still asks him not to tell anyone about her hobby. Kirino also asks Kyousuke to share this hobby with her as well. Kyousuke agreed because he thought it would be fun to share with his sister, no matter how strange it was. At first, Kyousuke was excited about it and even started playing games about anime. However, after some time he got bored with it and asked Kirino to find friends who also shared the same interests. Since otakus are not that well accepted in society, Kirino was scared that if she revealed her otaku side, she would tarnish her perfect image. As an alternative, Kyousuke encourages her to look for an online group of otaku girls who have meetups. That way she could have more friends with the same hobbies as hers. After a while, the online group had its first meeting. Kirino tells Kyousuke to go with her since she doesn't want to go alone. But even though they are together, Kirino tells him to keep his distance from her because everyone will see him as a perverted stalker. During the meeting, Kirino does not socialize out of embarrassment. However, as they leave, Saori Makishima, the group's leader, and her friend Rurigaku invite Kirino to have a meal together. A few days later, Kirino starts talking with Ruri on the phone daily, and they even recommend games and movies to watch together. On the other side, Kyousuke was hanging out with his childhood friend, Manami Tamura, who had a crush on him. However, no matter how hard she tries to show Kyousuke how she feels, he doesn't seem to notice her feelings. When Kyousuke returns home, he finds his father scolding Kirino after discovering her hobbies. It becomes so intense that Kirino even runs out of the house. Kyousuke then runs after her and convinces her that he will help her fix the situation. Kyousuke then confronts his father about his sister's hobby, and he tries to convince him that it is normal. To persuade him, he ended up saying that the DVD was his and that Kirino knew the anime because of him. And even though he saved his sister, Kyousuke was punched hard by his father. After everything calms down, the father tries to understand his children's hobbies, but he only accepts them halfway. As Kyousuke is playing one of his sister's games, Saori calls him and tells him that she sends some things to his sister. Shortly after, a package arrives for Kyousuke, but Kirino snatches it from him and leaves for her room where her friends are waiting. Out of curiosity, Kyousuke calls Saori to ask about the box's contents. And the moment Saori said it was products from the anime that Kirino likes, Kyousuke immediately rushed to Kirino's room to prevent her from opening the box in front of her friends. Kirino then fights to prevent Kyousuke from taking the box away from her. But this leads him to end up in a compromising position. Kyousuke accidentally touched his sister's private part, and her friends saw the whole scene. The following day, Kirino and Kyousuke went to a manga event with Saori and Ruri when they came across Ayase Aragi, one of Kirino's best friends. Ayase then asked Kirino what she's doing there. Kirino evades the question. She then tells her brother to help her out of the situation. Kyousuke then helps her, saying that they have to leave. While they're leaving, Ayase grabs Kirino's bag, accidentally ripping it. She manages to see her friend's manga. She then tells Kirino that she won't be her friend anymore. A few days later, Kirino is still upset by her friend's rejection, who also called her a pervert. Kyousuke tries to cheer up her feelings, but they fight as Kirino tells him he has to help fix the situation. Without any other option, Kyousuke agrees to talk to Ayase and fix the problem. He later meets Ayase and starts explaining why having these hobbies is not a bad thing and is in fact fun. Ayase refuses his explanation, saying that Kyousuke was the one who influenced Kirino. As the two are arguing, Kirino appears and tells Ayase the truth. But this doesn't convince Ayase to accept Kirino. She claims that the hobbies are just too obscene. Kyousuke then tries to explain how this anime helped his relationship with his sister, but he ends up sounding even more perverted. In the end, Ayase feels sorry for Kirino, thinking that Kyousuke is a pervert with a crush on his little sister. Days later, Manami invites Kyousuke to hang out at her house on Halloween. Manami's relatives are happy that Kyousuke is visiting them after so long. Kyousuke then decided to stay and help the family decorate for Halloween. By the time they were done, it was already late, and Manami offered to let Kyousuke stay for the night. He accepts and they all have dinner together. After eating, Manami proposed that Kyousuke take a bath, but he insisted that she go first. Manami then jokes that they should take a bath together. Contrary to what she expected, Kyousuke agrees, but it turned out to be a joke. When it was bedtime, Manami's family did everything they could to ensure that Manami and Kyousuke slept in the same bed. Then they started talking about their childhoods, and Kyousuke tells her he will invite her to his house the next time. On the other hand, Kirino is upset with Kyousuke because he is not at home with her. One day, when Kyousuke was coming home from school, he found Ruri sitting in the living room having been invited by Kirino. This was the only day they could watch anime in the living room since the parents weren't there. Kyousuke then realizes Kirino is not in the living room because the two of them had fought about the anime novels they had written. Kyousuke then went to get Kirino so that she could make peace with Ruri. Before they apologized, they talked about why they were angry with each other, and because of that, they started to fight with each other yet again. The following day, as Kyousuke was leaving for school, Kirino confronted him about some explicit stuff she found on his laptop. He immediately accepts his mistake and tells his sister it won't happen again. So to compensate her, she tells him he must take her shopping. As they were shopping, Kyousuke discovered that the novel Kirino had written was quite famous, but she was struggling to continue the story. So apart from shopping, Kirino also wanted a creative outlet to get some ideas. Her novel was about brother-sister relationships. She forces Kyousuke to roleplay with her in order to get new ideas. They had a lot of scenarios, even ending up in a hotel. But after all that, Kirino manages to finish her novel. Kirino's novel then becomes famous, even getting an offer to bring it to television as an anime. Kirino receives an invitation to a meeting to further discuss the project. This made Kirino nervous, so she asked Saori and Ruri to accompany her as support. And even though she agrees to come, Ruri keeps on making fun of the novel. During the meeting, Kirino proposes some kinky ideas to the producers, but they are all rejected. Kirino felt terrible that they were changing all her ideas. They even suggested changing the gender of the protagonist. When she got home, Kirino fell unconscious into her brother's arms after being disappointed. Wanting to change things for his sister, Kyousuke decides to go to the second meeting on her behalf. Even though the producers initially rejected Kirino's suggestions, They changed their minds after Ruri delivered a speech and Kyousuke was humiliated. One day upon getting home, Kyousuke finds Kirino anxiously waiting for a package. When it finally arrives, Kyousuke realizes it's one of those games she likes. He doesn't pay much attention and goes to his room. However, things get weird when Kirino starts playing as though there is no one else at home. Kyousuke becomes uncomfortable, especially when she starts making weird noises. He finally shouts at his sister to shut up, for which she accuses him of being a pervert. Ayase and Kirino had argued a few days before, and Ayase was thinking of making amends. Since Kirino had been telling her a lot about anime, she asked Kyousuke for the perfect gift for Kirino. Kyousuke then goes with Saori and Ruri to find a gift. After searching for hours, they find the perfect gift for Kirino. But to earn it, they had to win a cosplay contest first. Since Ayase refused to cosplay, she plans on getting another girl to do it. She then tricks another friend, Kanako Kurusu, who thinks that it is a modeling contest. Eventually, Ayase tricks her into cosplaying an anime character at an otaku convention. And since Kanako looks like the main character, she wins with a huge advantage. Because of this, Ayase can now give the gift to Kirino. One day, when Kyousuke was walking in the supermarket, he came across Minami and invited her to hang out at his house. Since Kyousuke's parents are not at home, she offers to cook for him. When the two get home, Kirino has a jealous attitude towards her brother, treating the pair rudely. Trying to annoy her, Kirino tells Minami to clean the house before cooking, and she agrees to do it. Minami finished cleaning the house and even made lunch, for which Kirino suddenly thanked her sweetly. However, it was all an act, because when Kyousuke got to his room, he found that Kirino had left a game and some obscene magazines in there. To his surprise, Minami doesn't seem affected by it at all. Saori, Ruri, Kyousuke, and Kirino organize a small get-together to celebrate Kirino's book becoming an anime. All the girls dress up as maids and have a good time together. Kirino apologizes for treating Minami rudely and gives him an obscene game. Kyousuke then thanks her and they make peace. In the morning, Kirino was very kind and understanding. She even made Kyousuke breakfast. Later, Kirino asked Kyousuke to buy her a game that was released that very day. When he goes to the store to get it later on that day, he realized that his sister is not the only one who wants that game. When he gets the game, he sneaks it in so that his father doesn't realize what he's doing. He then gives a gift to his sister, but she tells him to stay and play with her. After playing, Kirino shows a diary to her brother where she wrote that she had a ticket to go to America. Even though Kyousuke was feeling mad that she hadn't told him earlier, he told her he wasn't going to stop her. However, Kirino hits him, saying she wanted him to convince her not to go and say he needs her. Come morning, Kirino decides that she will not be going to America, much to the relief of her family.